In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this placemat. This placemat has no binding, we just turn it right sides out. It features English paper piecing, and we stitch this section onto the other side. And I love this echo stitching along the side of the English paper piecing. What do we need to sew a placemat? This is going to be the backing of the placemat. It's going to be 13 by 15. Hello, Sophie. We're having one of those days, obviously. And also a piece of batting for the back of our placemat. Now I've taken the same piece of fabric, the 15 by 13, and at one side of it, I have cut off a strip. And basically I've cut off 3.5 inches from one of the ends. For this particular project, for this placemat sewing project, I am going to be using some of my English paper piecing parts. If you don't know how to do English paper piecing, I will link a video down below on how easy it is to end up with these English paper piecing hexagons. It's really, really easy. So check out that video. Now, where we have cut off that side section panel, we are going to be inserting some 2.5 inch squares. I have cut 7 2.5 inch squares out. I use a Babylock sewing machine for my tutorials, the Babylock Soprano. Let me know if you use a Babylock Soprano too in that comment box down below. Now, in the top thread, I will have a regular white or cream polyester thread. My sewing needle is a 1914 Microtex needle. I always sew with that sewing needle. I have my regular foot on, which I may be changing to my 1/4 inch foot, and some white bobbin thread. With my Babylock Soprano, I always have my pivot key turned on. If you don't know what this does, it's awesome. It's one of the best things about the Babylock Soprano. I will be changing my sewing foot to the 1/4 inch foot with guide. And then I'm going to sew these blocks together, right sides together, and I'm going to alternate with this yellow and this pattern fabric. I love sewing placemats because it's a great introduction to show you how to do free motion quilting without having to go all in doing a big quilt. This girl is definitely wanting some attention today, aren't you, Sophia? You are going to need 7 of these, and you're going to press them. When you are attaching the strip, make sure that the strip measures at 13.5 inches tall. Once that is attached, you're going to push it open like so, and then you're going to press. Then you're going to take your next strip, make sure it's 13.5 inches long, and attach it and sew the other side right sides together. I'm going to show you what that pivot key does on the Babylock Soprano. So every time I press the foot accelerator, the presser foot will raise up without me having to lift something up at the back. On some machines you have to lift it up and down. On this machine you don't have to do that when you activate the pivot key on the Babylock Soprano. So I'm going to press the accelerator, and that presser foot goes down. I'm going to stop on the accelerator and it goes back up. So it's virtually like hands-free sewing. I love the Soprano for that. And if you're not using that pivot key on your Soprano, I think you should. It doesn't really matter what sewing you do. I find it very handy. Once again, you're going to push this open and then you're going to press. Now there's just going to be this little section here that I'm just going to cut off, and I'm just going to make it all straight again. Oh, used the right side of the road. I've just bought a new rotary cutter. It's a nice small one, and I'm finding this much easier than the bigger one. This is the placemat so far, and now I'm going to get the batting and I'm going to place it behind my placemat. And I actually think it's grown a little bit, so I need to take it back down to the 15 inches in width. So cut it to the 15 inches and then place the batting behind the Then place the batting behind the top piece of our placemat. I think I'm going to have it, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to have it showing this way anyway, it looks nicer. Now I'm going to start attaching my English paper piecing to my placemat. I've arranged my English paper piecing so it's going down one side of my placemat, and as you'll see at the top, it's slightly overhanging at the top, and I need to push this up because it's not quite all catching in, and this one is slightly hanging off at the end, and I will cut this off after the fact. So now what I'm going to do is take this over to the sewing machine and stitch my English paper piecing onto my placemat. Now I'm not going to use a blanket stitch today. I am just going to stitch them on with a regular straight stitch all the way around, and I would recommend that you pin your English paper piecing parts into place. I'm going to take these all off again, but I'm going to stitch the first two into place where I want them to be, and then I will just do each individually on. I'm not going to be able to do this with the current foot that I have on. I'm just going to put this regular foot back on my sewing machine. Then all you're going to do is just start at one side of your English paper piecing part. I'm going to take that needle out there, and I'm going to start to sew a straight stitch attaching my English paper piecing to my placemat. Now this is handy where this pivot key comes into play. And just continue around your English paper piecing, attaching it to your placemat. It's very similar to applique, attaching these English paper piecing parts into place. When you've sewed one of your English paper piecing parts into place, then move on to the next English paper piecing section, and then just sew all the way down, sewing your English paper piecing into place. So this is the English paper piecing part of it all done, and remember where we have them overhanging ones, I'm just going to chop that off. The next thing I'm going to do is cut around this excess batting. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the back of our placemat and we are going to do it right sides facing. I'm not going to do a binding for this placemat. If you do want to do a binding, I will link in the description box down below how to do the binding. We're going to do a really quick sewing placemat. So you're going to do it right sides together, and you are going to stitch all the way around, and you're going to leave about 2 inches. I'm going to do it at the side. I'm going to leave about 2 inches to pull it right sides through. Now you probably have some excess material that you want to cut off. Just cut it off. Cut off close to the stitches but not on the stitches. Now's a good time to let you know that I have hundreds and hundreds of sewing tutorials on my channel. So subscribe for more sewing and quilting tutorials. Then all you're going to do is reach out inside this space here that we've just created, and you're going to pull everything right sides out. Now you're going to press everything into place, and this opening you're going to fold nice and flat, and you're going to make sure that it stays nice and straight all the way down. Now you're going to top stitch all the way around your placemat and closing this opening up. Another thing that I recommend that you do on your placemat is stitching a ditch along here. So stitching the ditch is where you actually stitch the seam down. So you're going to do that, and I'm probably going to echo some stitching along these hexagons. And the reason why is at the moment that you put these in the wash, because the backing kind of isn't stitched down, you want to attach the top to the bottom, and that's what we kind of do with free motion quilting. But I'm going to do something different today, stitching a ditch and then echo these here. Now see how I've got that needle right in the center there? I have used my hand wheel to get that positioned in. You're not going to be able to do it like with the button on the machine. do it with the needle and the hand crank. I'll try to do this here, because you can get it right perfectly where you want it when you're using the crank. Now for doing the echoing around each of these hexagons, I have lined the side of my foot with the side of my English paper piecing, and then I'm just going to go around like that. I really do love how cute this project has turned out with the English paper piecing on the side. I'm going to do a bit of an up-close shot of this free motion quilting work here. So I just did one at the side here, and I did two here to echo, which I think makes it look really cool. Let me know in the comments box down below. Please leave a comment. It really does help my channel when you do that. Are you going to be doing some English paper piecing? Are you going to be making this particular project? Have I given you more confidence to try English paper piecing? So please subscribe to my channel. I have hundreds and hundreds of sewing and quilting tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.